Hi guys, welcome to this issue of iDrum magazine. My name's Pat Garvey. In this issue we're looking at basically a slowed down version of something we looked at a few issues ago, maybe about eight issues ago. We looked at it last time, this particular pattern in the context of breaking down a very well-known Tony Williams groove called Fred. It also happens to be very fast. This one's a lot slower and just demonstrates a different use for the groove, and more of which we'll look at as we go on. So essentially what we're going to start with is just breaking down what you just heard me play in terms of the bulk of that groove. Okay, so it's a really well used pattern. It's something you've heard before, but it's also something that crosses, you know, lots of different genres. You can play it with different time feels. It's basically just really usable, and it's really good for your playing in terms of interlimb accuracy, dynamics, and just kind of pushing your playing forward without doing anything too crazy in terms of what you're actually playing. So the first thing to start with is what we're doing with the hi-hat. Now, it's basically a 3-note pattern on the 1 and 2 and 3E and 4E and 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and except for what we're doing is we're opening the hi-hat on the quarter note. So the hi-hat pattern without the open hi-hat would be this. Adding the open hi-hat gives us two things. First of all, it gives us an open hi-hat. Okay. The second thing it gives us is an offbeat hi-hat footnote. And this is something we'll come to in a minute, but it's worth being aware of as I'm just playing this. So this would sound like this. Now, what you have to be careful of when you're getting this kind of thing together is that your stick and your foot are landing at exactly the same time. Because if they're not, you're going to get a weird flam, and it's not going to sound like it's intentional. It's going to sound a bit odd. So I'll try and play that with the two not kind of really sitting together. You can hear it doesn't sound particularly nice. The other thing here is your hi-hat technique with regard to your left foot. So I don't know if you can see it from there exactly, but my hi-hats are quite open, and this is so that I've got a full range with regard to opening the hi-hat. So if I want a kind of what I call a fizz, then I can get a fizz by not opening it fully. If I want a really wide open sound, I can get a really wide open sound by opening it fully, which also means I can then get everything in between. So if I play it with a fizz, listen to the difference. I'll go between the two. Two very different sounds. My point is, don't have your hi-hat too closed because you can't control it. Learn to control it, because you'll get a lot more out of it. Plus, we'll come to the hi-hat foot in terms of the rhythm and what you can do with it in a little while in this lesson, and you really need it to be able to get a proper note out. So the next thing to add to that is quite simply a 2 and 4 backbeat. So I'll play that very quickly. I'm sure you know what the 2 and 4 backbeat is, but you know, here it is for reference. The third thing that you've got there is the bass drum pattern, and it's 1, 2, 3 E and F4, and 1, 2, 3 E and F4, and 1, 2, 3 E and F4, and. Why count everything? Simply because if you can count it, the chances are you're going to be able to play it. It doesn't work necessarily the other way around as easily. If I put the bass drum pattern with the backbeat, you get this. So a really quite well used pattern in loads of different genres. If I play that again, just the bass drum and the snare drum, then I'm going to add the hi-hat to it, okay, and it will all kind of come together. Now, when we were looking at this before, we looked at it in the context of a Tony Williams track, as I mentioned earlier, that was much faster. And I'll just talk about that quickly because it's just a different way of playing the hi-hat. It's nothing exclusive to speed, which is what we were dealing with before. And that is not playing the accents on the quarter note, and it's playing everything on the body of the hi-hat with the tip of the stick. Just listen to the difference in the sound. It's got a very different sound. What else can you do with this? Well, because you've got this type of hi-hat pattern, you could swing it. So you can swing the 16th notes and you get, again, a different type of feel. The coup with this, though, is really to be able to take it and really get some use out of it. And this is what we talked about 4 issues ago, when we were taking one idea and just one fill idea and getting 3 completely different ideas, you know, growing them, evolving them from that idea. So if I were to pretend to play the hi-hat with my right hand and still open my foot, it's going to give us an offbeat 8th note. That's something that we can use. If I transfer my right hand over to this hi-hat, listen to the difference here. So with these 2 hi-hats playing, my right hand playing the original part, my left foot opening the hat as though I was playing it. If I add the same bass drum pattern in, listen to the groove now. It's completely different. If I swing it, again, it's going to sound totally different. If I speed it up a little bit, I'll go back to the more straight version, and I'll put it with a 4 on the floor. Okay, so a more kind of dancey type feel. Sounds completely different again. If I move my right hand to the cowbell, for example, listen to the phrase again. Now, I keep one of these by my left foot to incorporate into rhythms, to use as a, you know, when I'm practicing my timekeeping and working things against my left foot. And I also keep it to, like I said, augment rhythms with a different sound or a different voice. If I play what I'm playing on the hi-hat, but with the jam block down here, we're going to get a completely different sound. I'll play it first of all with the hi-hat. If I play that on the cowbell, if I was to play the right hand on a ride cymbal, as though maybe we're in a solo section of a song, it's quite a nice little boost to a solo. So. So there you have it, a little session on you know, what you can do with a very simple idea, and how things can begin to sound or fall into place with, you know, regard to genre once you really start to get ideas flowing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign off with the piece I started with, just to you know, remind ourselves what we were talking about in the first place. I hope you got something out of this. This is stuff just to practice real slow. They're really nice grooves just to get cooking. You can sit on them for, you know, literally hours just working and finding different things, and they're so usable in the context of, you know, professional work and being able to actually use these things. That they're well worth the time you spend on it. So I hope you got something out of this, and I'll see you in the next issue.